let's dive into the receivers a little bit here in Super Bowl 58 and who we'll see. And let's take a look at who's ready to deliver, brought to you by Pizza Hut. And the Chiefs' top receiver a year ago was Juju Smith-Schuster, and a theme this season was who besides Travis Kelce could Pat Mahomes trust? And rookie Rashid Rice, the 7th receiver taken in the draft, he rose up. Marquez Valdes-Scantling only had 2 games with over 50 receiving yards. One of them was in the playoff win at Buffalo. You see Justin Watson's numbers on there as well. Aditi Kinkhabwala spoke with MVS on opening night.
All right, so Marquez, let's talk about the evolution with Patrick Mahomes this year and having to show him that he can indeed trust his receivers. What's the process?
There's no process. We go out and we practice, week in and week out. We got the same guys that we had a year before that he won the MVP with. So it's not like he stopped trusting us or anything like that. We just got to make plays for him, and he keeps giving us opportunities to do it.
Well, you most definitely made a play for him the last time out. How does that change the way you go home when you have a big explosive play like that? And this year hasn't necessarily been about big explosive plays.
It doesn't really change much, to be honest. We're just excited to be 1-0. And that's what the postseason is about. No matter if it's 50 big plays or 5 big plays, as long as we get the victory, that's what's important to us.
This season has shown the grit that this team has, though, right? You've had to win in different ways.
Yep.
How does that better prepare you for this moment?
Just through adversity. A lot of teams don't really have those adverse situations, especially being a defending Super Bowl champ. You're going to get the best shot from everybody. They're going to find different ways to try to stop your offense and do different things. And so being able to just find different ways to win football games and go on the road and win football games in different situations, I think that's just been huge for us because it came back and helped us in the playoffs.
And you got to think making that catch that we saw to clinch the game against Baltimore had to be huge for MVS. You talked about Kadarius Toney earlier. What's the confidence level in these receivers going into Super Bowl 58?
Well, that was what MVS and Andy Reid talked about this. He never hung his head, that he kept his confidence up even though it was not working for him. And then in that Baltimore game, making that catch and how it's able to fuel him for the next 2 weeks. And so going back to that catch, it was something that, look, you had, they thought this is actually exactly what had happened against the Philadelphia Eagles, the drop in Week 11, and it was a very, very similar play where the Chiefs thought that they were going to get 0 blitz. In fact, they just got a usual rush 4 there, and that, you know what, he hung it out there, and MVS didn't come down with it. And then right here, this was the game-sealing play where he got behind Mallet and was able to ultimately seal the game for the Chiefs. Huge for him, huge for this team going into Super Bowl 58.
It isn't about the trust, I think, with your quarterback sometimes. I think people put a lot on that, and we keep feeding the narrative of hey, quarterback and receivers. Look, everybody else on that team is who you're really accountable to, okay? Because when you come to the sideline and you drop the pass or you didn't do something, when I'm on the sideline, look, I don't catch passes. I rush the passer. I stop people. So when you let someone down, you're looking at the people on the sideline that are really getting to you. So in this dynamic, I love the fact, and I loved his answer to Aditi. It was all about, look, there's something that we do in terms of forming a process, of forming a bond, but it's about accountability of doing your job. It's the general game day execution that everyone has to have. And when you can't do something, like I don't throw or catch passes, I'm trusting you to do your job. And I think that's really what the core of what they had that was good about Kansas City and their culture this year, because they were able to play through that. This didn't sideline them. You said they had 2 receivers that had drops over 10%, right? And they're on the same team.
Yep.
But it didn't derail where they got to. So I think that's the most impressive thing about this Chiefs team and the receiving core.
Jonathan, I like what you did there and showing this is what they had before. It doesn't work. They come back to it. What Kevin's talking about, coming back to him. You didn't even bring in the Green Bay game, where there was another one.
That's right.
That was a big one, and that really damaged the confidence. But here's the thing with that. The 3 receivers we showed, the trust factor, if we want to continue to use that word, I don't know if it's correct or not, he will throw it to Rashid Rice because he knows he's going to be there and he's going to get it done. And he had his bumps early, but he developed throughout the rest of it. Justin Watson, MVS, they're almost designated hitters now. And that's where it gets difficult for a receiver because you're asking them to do something with no rhythm. All right? They're not getting balls throughout the game. They're getting them at key points. Can they come through and make those extraneous catches and limited opportunities that they're going to get in this ball game? because this game's going to go through Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, Isaiah Pacheco running it, and if Jerick McKinnon comes off the disabled list and he's able to play, he and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, they'll catch out of that, and that's it. Everyone else, but when it comes your way, you better be prepared to do it, and that's a very difficult thing to do. But that's the way Kansas City has to play if they want to win this title.
And then there's the Niners, and they are loaded at the receiver position.
No, they absolutely are. And Brandon Ayuk is a guy who they have had so much trust in him. Remember, it wasn't that long ago. He was in Kyle Shanahan's doghouse, and then what did he do but come out here and have an all-pro season? We all know who Deebo Samuel is. I loved what Antonio Pierce talked about, where he's built like a running back, but he has the mentality and attitude of a linebacker. But where it comes to Brandon Ayuk, what I really love is his downfield and deep play threat. And we had it right here in this game where Brock Purdy makes the right read. The corner was in position to make this play. When the middle third safety comes down and hits that high crosser, well, that's where the throw is supposed to go. He got a little lucky right there, as we all know. But that was actually the same play that we saw in week 4, where right there, Ayuk made a great adjustment on a good ball from Purdy, where again, you have that deep crosser from Deebo right there in the middle of the field. Middle third safety comes down, and that's the read for Brock Purdy. We talk about him being a game manager and distributor. That is what Kyle Shanahan's offense is about, and he absolutely made the right call and the right throw.
And you brought the film library. I love it.
Just a little bit, trying to be like these guys.
Hey, listen, way ahead and getting it done. I'm loving it. But you notice in the second one, the safety just didn't make a good play.
Yeah.
All right, the second one, the safety wasn't getting it done. The first one, he was in position, as you noted, and it goes. The bottom line is, when you're looking at these receivers, Jawan Jennings is the one we don't talk about. But he's going to be a big key in this, because what did Antonio Pierce talk to us about, Coach Pierce? Spags is going to load up against the run game. San Francisco wants to run the football. That's who Kyle Shanahan is as a coach, and if they have success running it, he will run it. The last time they went to the Super Bowl in the 2 playoff games, they threw it less than 10 times, both times, to Jimmy Garoppolo before they got to the Super Bowl, because they ran it effectively. Yep. So if it's there, they'll keep doing it. Who's the best blocking receiver for San Francisco? It's Jawan Jennings.
That's right.
If he has a factor in this one, that's what it's going to be, and he can catch the football.
And I'll go a step further. I think they're going to reward Jawan Jennings for being that blocking receiver, because when you're scheming up and you're doing things that Spags is going to do with guys like Trent McDuffie and L'Jarius Sneed, he's going to mess up the coverage, going to mix it up in the back end. It's going to try to fool them and play zone and play man-free, play with a shell, go with the flood action that they want to create when they do all their play action from San Francisco's backfield. But the thing that is really going to impress me is when you do go to Jawan Jennings, he's a 50-50 ball threat. He's a big physical receiver. And I also think, well, we didn't talk about him yet, but George Kittle. He's the other X factor in this game.
Because we were focusing so much
receiver.
on just that position, right? Because they're going to want to reward Juszczyk as well. Things are going well for them.